Congratulations.
Thank you. Council General Tu, honorable ministers and mayors and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. They've asked me to say a few words on a few topics. Firstly, I think it's difficult because I'm too young to win this award. Secondly, they said, well, talk about how you started your firm and what it means for others to come. And I said, I can't say all that in 10 minutes. That's ridiculous. So maybe I'll just hit a few highlights. I think the one key things in life that we have a term in Chinese that says crisis, Wei Ji, is actually made up of two words, danger and opportunity. And because we live in seemingly crisis time now, it's especially important, I think, for entrepreneur to remember that this is no better time for opportunities than now. Because when I think back, getting on a boat when I was 8 years old, and my father saying goodbye to me on the way from Hong Kong, he said, Bing, you better go over there, you better be twice as good as anybody else because you're Chinese. Because I gave up on Canada because I couldn't practice my profession because even though I was born there, I wasn't yet a citizen, and citizens weren't given to people of Chinese birth. So he said, you better go over there and try harder. So that was a crisis. So being the only kid in elementary school of Chinese birth, every day somebody would call me a name, and so I would have a fight. And maybe that toughened me up, because after that I became very popular, because I was very good at math, so every year they voted me as a treasurer and handle all the money, right? So that's kind of maybe a Chinese, what do you call it, preconceptions about Chinese, right? But with all the entrepreneurs here, I'm sure you've proven that you're pretty good with money. But it was the defining moments because when I was young, my mother put me into this band that always competed against men. And we always went to Europe to the Kitsilano Boys Band, and we've always won. I think in 30-something years, he led the band, he only lost twice. And when he loses, he gets really, really mad. And he always said that, he said, in life, and when you're playing in a band, 99% is not good enough. You have to be 100% because it just takes one person in the band to play the wrong note and everything is ruined. So in your organization, you're only as strong as the weakest member in your company, because that's the person who's going to cause the problem in success or failures of a company. So those early educations were quite important. And so I would say one of the very important things about growing up is really the people that are around you and the kind of advice you get throughout your life. We all know that all our successes are dependent on our spouses, which really are the most important person. I happen to have met my spouse when I was in university, and she said, well, what do you want to be? And I said, well, I want to be an architect. And so she said, well, what's more important to you, fame or independence? And I said, look, why do you want to ask me that kind of question? She said, never mind, just answer that. We're 18 years old. And so I said, well, independence. Wow, that was tough, because if I answered the wrong way, that was the end of that relationship. So I said, why did you say that? Well, she said, well, fame somebody else gives you, independence you give yourself. So that was pretty good advice, I think. So as I went on in my career, in 1980, I started my firm in the middle when interest rate was 20-something%. There was no clients, so I had to go and started a company called ARDEC, Architecture, Development, Construction, because I always felt that even though I worked for Arthur Erickson, he was a very good architect, but he was terrible with money. And so I thought I better learn how to handle money, and because I wasn't brought up in a family that was in the business world, I had to learn it the hard way. So luckily, my father-in-law was in the fruit and vegetable business, Jim Koo Products. It was a wholesale fruit and vegetable. And so when I started my company, he sat me down and he said, look, I only had grade 6 education. You're a university graduate. I just want to tell you something from what I learned. He said, with one phone call, I can sell 6 oranges or I can sell 6,000 oranges. You as an architect, you sell only by the hour, and there's only one of you, and everybody's going to want to know you. But the big difference is when I become wealthy, I make a phone call to a stranger, they may not pick up the phone. But if you become successful, even though you may not be that financially successful, at least they'll pick up the phone and answer you because you have a name. So that was a kind of interesting lesson. He said the important thing when you go out in your profession is don't hang around with other architects. Go and meet all the other people who aren't architects, because those are the people who are going to help you to become successful as architects. So that's another advice that I had. But I was also asked to talk a little bit about, the potential of Canada, and because I do practice in other parts of the world, I really have to say that we live in the best countries in the world. We have a relatively small population, but we have tremendous resources. We know this is the century of Asia, and with an organization like yourself, you're going to play a very, very critical role in the future of our country. Because when I think back, my grandfather came as a coolie, relatively, to build a railway. And 2 days ago, Governor Schwarzenegger in California says they're going to go and negotiate with the Chinese in China for building the new fast trains with Chinese finance, Chinese engineering. So there you are, in 2 generations. So much has changed. And the potential of Canada and what Canada is as a country, I think the opportunity. In my own company, I have 35 people in my company. We come from 16 countries. We speak from 13 languages. What other country would have companies like this? So I think the future is really here for us to grab. And a lot of people say to me, well, Bing, why do you fly 5 hours across the country to come here to make a 10-minute speech? And I wanted to end with one little advice that I was given by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in British Columbia when I built a new courthouse. He said, Bing, every morning when you get up in the morning, you look in the mirror. 49.5% of the people are going to go one way, and 49.5% of people are going to go the other way. And you will make a difference today. So I hope all of you, when you go home, you talk to your children and tell them that story. And maybe they will make a difference for their days. Thank you very much.